Danielle Stein-Fairhurst. I'm the principal of Plum Solutions, so I'm a financial modelling specialist, and we're really honoured tonight. We have several very highly regarded financial modelling specialists in the room. So the concentration of financial modellers in the room is really quite amazing tonight. So thank you for coming. I was going to say thank you to Margaret for making the space available to us. So we've been around at different venues over the past year. So it's wonderful to get out and explore different parts of Melbourne that I haven't been to before. I had a very early start this morning. As you probably know, I'm based in Sydney. So I run training courses on financial modelling and dashboards and a few other subjects. That's my specialisation, and I've written a couple of books on financial modelling, including Financial Modelling for Dummies, which is out there. So I get around quite a lot. I just came back from Dubai on Friday. So Excel and financial modelling takes me all over the world. It brings me lots of fun and excitement. So as I said, I always have a very action-packed time when I'm travelling. So I had a very early start this morning. I was in St Kilda, and I looked to see where I had no idea where I was coming tonight, of course. And so it was about a 30-minute walk. Oh, no, stuff that. I'll get a taxi. It was a 40-minute taxi ride. It took a lot longer, and then when I actually got here, I'm like, am I really in the right place? And of course, the taxi driver stopped right in the middle of the road, and I got my thing out of the back, and of course, he was blocking the road, so all these cars were trying to get onto the freeway were beating at me. So I had my head stuck in the back of the taxi trying to pay the taxi driver. So he took off, and with me hanging out the back of it. So that was all very exciting. So I'm very glad to be here in one piece. So I'm very happy to have Alan Sweeney to be our presenter for tonight, and I'm very much looking forward to what he has to say. I've watched a few of his videos. He's quite an interesting character, and in fact I must say that his topic is something of a bit of a pet topic of mine as well. I'm actually here in Melbourne to speak at a data and information conference that's in St Kilda, was today and also tomorrow. I'm very interested in visualisation of information. I find that financial modellers in particular, it's something, I'm sure you know, Alan, that it's something we're not particularly good at. We're very good at the technical stuff. We're very good at analysing and getting those numbers right. Yeah, that's the most important thing. Get the numbers right. But the presentation, making it look pretty, making it look attractive, and giving meaning to those numbers, we sometimes forget about. And I think it's something to do with the way our brains, I don't want to steal your thunder here, but the way our brains are wired are not really particularly creative and visual, and it's something that I really have to train myself on. So Alan's given me I couldn't memorise all this, but I'm just going to give a bit of an introduction for Alan. So through his business, Visual Finance, Alan helps people and organisations make better financial decisions by showing them how to communicate numbers with clarity. On moving to Australia from Dublin in 2009, Alan found 3 new loves. It's a bit like my story. I always say how I went to London and met Excel and met my husband, and then I discovered Excel and brought both of them back to Australia. His 3 new loves were Excel, data visualisation, and stand-up comedy. Okay, I read that wrong. Alan has performed at 2 Melbourne International Comedy Festivals, although neither was Excel related. I'm glad to hear that. Today, Alan will share with us how we can so easily fall into making poor financial decisions, and more importantly, how to improve our money matters personally and in business. So, let's welcome Alan Sweeney.
Good evening, folks. I have a friend in Melbourne who's French, and he has relatives in WA, and when he goes to visit them, he loves to go fishing in a little tin boat. And the first time he went there, he realised that he needed to put something on the end of the hook to lure in the fish. So off he went to the fishing supply store. And then he went to the Australian behind the counter and he said, "Hello, I would like to buy some bait." Now, side note guys, I can see a few of your faces. Why is an Irish guy talking about a French guy going fishing? What's this got to do with making better financial decisions with visuals? Don't worry, all will be revealed. Back to the shop. Oh, I would like to buy some bet. Sorry mate! Oh, scusi, my accent! I would like to buy some bet. Mate, if you want on a bet, you need to go down to the TAB. No, I would like to buy the bet for live fishing. Oh mate, why didn't you say so? You mean you want to buy some bait? And the French guy was just, what is the word bait? He had no idea, man. It would have been an awful lot simpler for my French friend to get a bucket of maggots if he had a picture. Language is something that we all know that needs to be translated. We know when we go to other countries we translate languages. But the language of finance is not a language we often translate, and when we do translate it, we don't often do it very well. Quick show of hands, who has a credit card? Yeah, so a lot of us have credit cards, most of us. I had a colleague, and she's a very smart girl, but she loved to spend more money than she actually had. And she turned to me one day and she said, Alan, I've just booked a winter getaway to Cards. I says, Rasha, I thought you said you were broke. Oh, Alan, I just put it on the credit card. Rasha, do you know that that's costing you 20% in interest? No. Do you know a personal loan costs you 10% in interest? No. So Rasha, do you know how much your holiday's costing you at all? Alan, I'm a lawyer, you're the accountant, I can't do all these calculations in my head. So I took out a post-it note and I sketched her this. Very simply I said, if your holiday was $1,000 and you paid for it over a year cash, it's still $1,000. Personal loan at 10%, the pointer doesn't work on the screen, is $1,100, and you left it on your credit card for a year at 20%, it will be $1,200. Finally, you can see the penny dropped for Rasha, who didn't understand finance. She goes, I don't want to pay an extra $200 for my holiday. So 6 months later, she turned around and she told me she had cleared off her credit card debt. So by using a visual, it added value to Rasha by doing the calculations for her. Then, her being a non-finance person, she could just spend her time and mental effort making a better financial decision. So that's the first reason we make poor financial decisions. We can't actually do all the calculations in our head. We turn numbers into a visual, that takes one layer of the work away from us. Now, the next reason we make poor financial decisions is something called mental accounting. And some of you may have heard of this, a lot of you may not have heard of it, but I guarantee you it affects every single person in this room. And now what I'd like you to do for 90 seconds is turn to the person beside you and have a chat about what you think mental accounting actually is. And go. I'll talk to you, David. What do you think mental accounting is? And we're back. So who would like to give me their opinion on what they think mental accounting is? Rob would. Rob, lovely Rob, love to hear your thoughts, Rob.
I have a vague recollection that it refers to keeping track of numbers in your head and therefore forming the one opinion. Is that?
Yes, Rob is on the right track. So I'm going to tell you what the exact definition is, but before that, I'd like to tell you a little story that will explain it for you. And it's actually a tale. It's called The Tale of the Man in the Green Bathrobe. There was a couple who got married and they went to Vegas on their honeymoon. And they had spent their $1,000 allotment on gambling. But the new groom, lying in bed, saw a $5 chip sitting on the dresser with the number 17 flashing on it. And he took this as an omen, and he put on his green bathrobe, and he went down to the roulette table. And he bet that $5 on number 17, and he won! 35 to 1, he won $175. So he bet it again. $6,000! And he let that ride all the way to $7.2 million. And then the floor manager came over and said, "Sorry sir, we can't cover that bet if you win again." So off he went to another casino that was better financed, and he bet the money again. $262 million! And then he bet it again. And he lost. Tired, dejected, he walked back to his hotel room to where his worried new bride was. She said, "Honey, where have you been?" "Oh, I was playing roulette." "How did you do?" "Not bad, I only lost $5. So that's what mental accounting is. We take money and we put it in one compartment and we treat it differently to others. So we might have rent money, mortgage money, retirement money, savings for a rainy day, savings for our kids' college, and we will treat all those numbers differently. And it's that kind of makes us make bad financial decisions. We don't treat money the same. So how do we overcome mental accounting? Well, the first thing is, on a personal level, if you ran your decisions by somebody else, you can imagine that new groom, if he was with his wife, he never would have lost $262 million. He would still have some, but he might only have the $6,000, but he would have it. On a business level and in a group level, how do we get people to be not being tricked by mental accounting? Well, we need everybody to be across the numbers, and that includes especially your non-finance people. So I was the treasurer of my sports club at Mulder and Lacrosse for a few years, and I didn't think anyone was going to really be interested in the numbers at a club level. But we wanted to buy a coffee machine for $1,000. So I sent an email to committee, let's buy a coffee machine. Everybody had their opinion. There was a big kind of war over emails, coffee lovers against people who just want beer or whatever. And we said, right, we won't buy the coffee machine. In the end, there wasn't consensus. So I said, great, everybody's interested in the numbers. Came to the end of the year, and I produced the financial statements, and at the AGM, any questions? No, because they didn't understand it. They understood coffee machine, yes, no, $1,000. That's easy to understand. But financial statements, non-finance people, they just get lost. As you're there, not, you know, people just get lost. So in order to get people across the numbers, we can use data visualization to make numbers easier to understand for everybody. And that's what we're going to cover for the next short while. But before we do that, what I would like you guys to do again, you guys have a chat to each other again, in your work, when you're communicating numbers, what numbers do you either find hard to communicate, or do you find that your stakeholders don't readily understand? And I'll get some of your answers then, and hopefully through the rest of the section I can touch on a few of those points and you guys will get more out of it. So if you have a chat for 60 seconds, we'll come back and we'll write some on the board. And go! And we're back, guys. So, first off, David at the front here works at RMIT, and what the students are actually the bosses. Yes, right. So, and they can't get their head around
how much income they've got, how much they've got left to spend through the year.
Right.
Because all their income comes in one lot,
Yeah.
but the expenses obviously occur like this through
Yeah.
the year. And there's really two main categories, their events and their wages.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty simple,
Yeah.
but they cannot get their head around how much have I got left to spend right now.
So year to go, if we had them a nice graph, that would actually help them, right? So let's go with that one. And I might have something up my sleeve for that, thankfully. Who would like to go next? Go on, you're getting nudged here, sir. What's your name? Jeff?
Yes. So, I don't know, like we quite often use the aquarium in Power BI, and that's a good way of communicating, in a fun way to, especially non-financial people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm going to have to nod along because I don't know what the aquarium is on Power BI.
alright, okay. It's basically fish swimming around, and the size of the fish relates to the size of the number. And you can have sharks, you can have goldfish.
Right, okay, yeah. Right, so it's
It's
quite...
good for like salespeople, I'm the biggest fish in the aquarium.
Right, so it keeps them. And do you find that that's actually a thing where it's easy to compare? Like comparing like a big fish with a small fish, that people understand that?
Yeah.
They do? Good.
Yeah.
So is it a problem you'd like to solve, or you're happy with it?
It's kind of not really a problem, I guess it's a solution that we have used to solve a problem.
Right, the solution now. That's all right. No, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for your input, though, Jeff. Does anybody else, we'll reframe that, does anyone else have a problem that we'd like help with?
I actually got a similar one, to compare with that gentleman. So
Yeah.
sometimes we need to do like comparison project, and for this financial year, and or maybe to forecast for the few financial year down to the track. But
Yeah.
sometimes we have more projects or different projects. So in that case, it's a little bit hard to do side by side comparison.
Right, so it's hard to compare all those
Yes.
things side by side. Right, so the last thing that I'll show you today is a bar chart in Excel, and an extension of that is the lens chart. And I think that might be very helpful, because what we can do is we can compare actuals versus budget or forecast, and we could do many years or different segments of the P&L. So I think that's going to be helpful for both of you guys and hopefully for all of us. So we'll go for one more if someone wants to be, we're looking for a few brave faces. We'll go down the back again. No, but no takers. All right, we will go on. How about you, Claire? No. Claire's selfish. She managed the household budget. It's my fiance, so that's why we have a household budget. We will move on then. So, now we'll skip that one. This is an advert for BMW 0% finance. A show of hands, who thinks the 0% finance on a new car is a good idea? Not in the BMW, that's okay. Who thinks it's a bad idea? Who isn't putting up their hands no matter what I ask, guys? That's alright.
It's better than 20% on your credit card.
It is better than 20% on your credit card. Glad to see you're paying attention, Jeff. Thank you very much. That would be a very big fish at 20%, wouldn't it? So, if you go into a dealership and get 0% finance on a car, the sticker price, the list price on the car will not budge. Your freebie is 0% finance. If you walk in with cash, depending on the dealer, depending on the brand, you will get a 5 to 10% discount. So if you've got cash, you'll get a much better list price of your car. So as a customer, you want to be actually focused on the overall price of the car, where BMW are going, oh, look at this shiny zero. This is what's important, right? They're using data emphasis. So here is a box of numbers, and I would like you all to count the 5 in the box. When you finish, please raise your hand. Taking a little while. What's your name there, sir? I don't have my glasses on. Christian, what, how many? 11. Good man, spot on. But it took us all a little while to count the numbers. I could make one change and make that an awful lot simpler, right? Because that's what I wanted you to count. I'd like you to count to 5, so if I emphasize that, you would all know it would be easy to count. So this is what BMW did. but BMW are using it for evil, right? Evil. Now, generic P&L. How can we use data emphasis on a generic P&L? Simply highlighting what's actually important. So you've done the analysis, and whether it's P&L or financial model, you've done the analysis and you know what's important. So if my mother back in Ireland picked this up, she would know what's actually important. We've got sales and head office over expenses. They're the two things that are focused on this report that we need to ask questions about. So that emphasis helps us make better decisions by showing people what's actually important. Instead of just giving them the information, have some insight because I've already done the work. So I'm going to make your life easier and save you some time. I have one of my favorite books. One of my favorite books is called Nobody Wants to Read Your Crap. And it's by a guy called Stephen Pressfield. And he's a Hollywood writer, but he started out in advertising in New York back in the 70s sometime. And in his book he talks about when he would write an advertising sentence, he would look at that sentence and say, is this adding value? Is this going to keep the reader engaged? Can I shave this down? Can I pare back this message, right, to keep the reader interested? And it really struck a chord with me because at the time I started out doing stand-up comedy. So I had an old favourite joke of mine was I went on a coffee date with a girl I met online, and after a while she said to me, "Oh, I'm dying for a drink." And I said, "Are you trying to impress me because I'm Irish?" And she says, "No, but if I start drinking, you might start looking like your profile picture." Now, before I brought that to my comedy mentor, it was about 67 words. What I told you was 47 words. So I had way too many. She said to me, and I said to her, and I had all these details that didn't actually matter. So I would sit, I used to live down the road here in Richmond, I'd sit in my apartment at night and I'd shave words off jokes. And then the next morning, I'd put on my suit and tie and I'd go into my job as an accountant. And then I'd sit in the finance presentation and somebody would present this. Right? The opposite of a pared back message. They actually had a meeting to see how many numbers can we get on this page for our 5 departments. And it's just an absolute dump of data. That's all it is. There's no real insight. If anybody picks that up, what does it really mean by the bottom line, right? So how could we pare back a financial message? So this is some actual versus budget just for simple overheads. And again, this is information, it's not really insight. But if I pared back the message, this is the exact same data. This is just showing you the variance though. So I'm showing you what's actually important. So now, when somebody picks this up, you can easily see which departments are ahead and which departments are below, and how much. You can actually compare it quite easily, how much behind someone is and how much ahead somebody else is. So you pare back the message. Back to our basic P&L. How can we apply that to our P&L? So visually, I can put in what's called data bars. I'm going to show you how to do these at the end. I'm just going to do all the Excel bits together to save me hopping up and down. And I'll also send you out the slides as well, so feel free to take your pictures, but I'll send everything out at the end. So these are data bars. So really simple conditional formatting, and that automatically, if somebody picks it up, if you've got to do your analysis on the P&L, you know straight away who's behind and a gist of where your real problems are. And if a non-finance person picks this up, they know where the problems are too. So it's going to save you time, help you make better decisions by showing you where the problems are quicker. Now, I'm going to buy a box of chocolates. Shop A, David likes chocolates, he's smiling already. Shop A, the box of chocolates is $5. Shop B, the exact same box of chocolates is $10. Who thinks Shop B is ripping you off? Yeah, Dave's like, nah, not cheap chocolates. Now, we're buying a car, not a BMW. What car do you like?
Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo. We're buying an Alfa Romeo, and car dealership A, Alfa Romeo is $30,000. Alfa Romeo B on the other side of town, it's $30,005. Who thinks Alfa Romeo B is ripping you off? Who thinks? Oh, one person's been ripped off $5. I want my $5. Are you an accountant? No, should be. So who thinks car dealership B B isn't ripping them off with the extra $5 on the card. I'll take it mostly, right? So what's the difference? What's the difference? $5 is $5. Context. Context is very important when we're making financial decisions. No one's going to care about, you know, $5 on a million if something's over budget by a smidgen. Remember, I used to go into a project meeting and we'd be over by a bit, and then the head honcho would walk in and go, plus or minus 10%, and he'd walk out. That was it. That's all he cared about. So let's take two products. So we've got product 1 versus budget is up by $4, and this is for 1 month's information for October, and product 2 is down by 1. Who thinks product 1 is doing the best? Oh, you're on to me, eh? Who thinks product 2 is doing the best? You don't want to say? So in October, yes, product 1 is doing the best because it's ahead by 4. But what about over the year? If we looked at the trend, because context is very important. So these are spark lines. You can fit them in one cell in Excel, and again, I'm going to show you how to do these. So I've got 10 points of data here, and we can say product 1, yeah, it's ahead this month, but overall, the trend is going down, so we actually need to fix it. Product 2 was in a bad place, but it's recovering. So whatever we're doing there, good stuff, keep it going. Back to our P&L again. How do we add that into our P&L? Simply, we can add in the trend line in one cell, and now we can see the trend of all the lines on our P&L, and even better, we can compare the trends of our P&L. So, most of the time in our P&Ls we've got month and we've got year to date. We're missing a whole lot of data points. We're missing last year's data points. What is the actual trend for the product and the numbers? So it really adds to your decision making if you know the context of what you're making the decision about. A few years ago, a friend of mine, he organised a comedy gig in Shepparton. Is anybody from Shepparton? No, yeah.
I know where it is.
You know where it is. So Shepparton is a country town. It's about, it took me about 2 hours to get there. And I was walking down from my apartment in Richmond to get a lift from one of my comedy buddies. I was walking along the back streets, and all of a sudden, smacked my face off the ground, and got up and I was kind of alright, but then I realised there was blood streaming down my face because I could see it all on my t-shirt. And there was so much blood, like a 10-pack of tissues didn't even last me 5 minutes. And I looked in a car window in a reflection, and I was just missing a whole heap of skin off the top of my nose because my nose took the entire impact. So instead of going to Shepparton, my friends brought me to the accident and emergency at the airport. And when you have a big cut in your face, you get seen straight away, which was good. And the first thing the doctor did, I took it up and then he took a picture. He said, I'm going to send this to the plastic surgeon. We might need to graft some skin from your bum to your face. It's looking pretty bad. And so while we waited to hear back from the plastic surgeon, the nurse cleaned out the nose with a scalpel, and she put a big huge, she put kind of mesh on it, and then she put a big dressing on it. And they came back then, the plastic surgeon said, no, you don't need your operation bum face, off you go. So that was about 4:30. And of course everyone had gone to Shepparton already. But I managed eventually to borrow a car off a colleague, and I drove to Shepparton. And I got there just before the end of the first half of the gig, and then I opened the second half of the gig. So here I am in all my glory, looking pretty, fitting in well into Bogan Shepparton, I must say. And
Same shirt.
same shirt, yeah! I'm glad to see you're paying attention. I just have a really lot of these. Eagle eye. Would anybody care to guess what made me smack my face off the ground? Anybody care to guess? I won't be offended, you can say whatever you like. Yeah?
0% interest on a BMW.
Who's the comedian now? What? Yep.
Beautiful girl in the past.
No, Claire wasn't there. Brownie points! No takers? No. It's on Facebook. Walking along on Facebook, I had a backpack on, I had a duffel bag, I changed the clothes, and I hit an uneven bit of tarmac. And I fell, I couldn't put it in my hands, and my face took the brunt of the fall, right? Claire loves this story. So it was distractions. Distractions are everywhere today, right? People have their phones in meetings, people have their phones everywhere, and then people are easily distracted, and then we show them a table of numbers. Oh, they're going to love that, aren't they? Classic table of numbers. I don't expect people to be actually able to read this because I would never present this, right? But it's just to show you how bad the table of numbers is. And what I have here is by state for sales for a drinks company. I've got volume, then I've got the dollar sales, cost of sales, gross profit, right? Too many numbers here, and it's not very easy to compare, and it's not very easy to see the relationship between the two. So what we were talking about earlier about the projects and different lines for your guys, how do we compare these? So first off, actual versus budget. So a bar in bar chart in Excel, I'm going to show you how to make this. So this is two graphs essentially, well, two axes overlaid. And what visually we can see then, we can see actual budget, and then at a glance you can see the difference. So your guys in RMIT, if they had their lines and they can see what's left to spend, they can see by a gist if they have a lot to spend, what's overspent. You don't have to read all the numbers. At a glance, you can see what needs your attention and what doesn't. And now if we did this 4 times, we have a lens chart. And what we can see then is the relationship. So I'm going to take this New South Wales volume here, right? They haven't sold to their budget. Budget is grey and blue is actual, but their sales are doing moderately better because they've sold higher priced products, right? We see Queensland is way over volume but under in sales. This happens the whole time. To sell too much water, and water doesn't cost a whole lot of money. You don't want to sell water, you want to sell expensive things like Gatorade. Right? That's what you really want to sell people, things that have high margins. So we can easily see the relationships when we use a lens chart. Now of course, you could even go further and add some data emphasis. You could make some of the bars red, so then when the non-finance person picks up red, and then they can see and compare, they can see all the relationships. So that's really going to save people time, and it's really going to show them where the issues are, and then they can make decisions based on knowing the real information. If you give a non-finance person that table, ask them at the end what they actually got out of it, and I'd love to know the answer, because unless they're really clued in, they're going to be distracted, they mightn't understand. And then like my friend Rasha, how is she even going to compare volume versus gross profit, do a ratio in her head and know the relationship? It's not going to happen, just throw it in the bin. So that brings us to the end of what I want to talk about, and now we're going to go into the Excel parts. Does anybody have any brief questions just before I get into we're all good? Oh no, actually, well, time-wise, yeah, we're going to skip. How are we actually doing for time? How much time do you reckon is good?
Probably got another, say, probably about another 10 minutes, and then we'll take some questions. Is that enough
Right.
time?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'll skip. I will tell you very briefly. This is my kid. Who's got kids? 2 people. This is my kid Leopold. He's a happy boy, right? But he's got little accessories on his face because he needs little help with his oxygen. Because he needs help with his oxygen, he has his very own dashboard, right? And the number 92 on that, very important, that is his oxygen number. It needs to be above 92 and he's happy. If it's not, that's the main thing that we need to be concerned about. He has another feeding machine that beeps. When the postman comes, the dog barks. Then Leopold likes to get sick of himself. The house goes a little bit mental. But the only thing you need to care about is the one vital number, which is 92. And if I had time, I would get you to discuss what your vital numbers are for your business and for your roles. But the main point I want to make is, you can take up the numbers that you have and you can visualize them and make them impactful and everybody can understand them. That'd be great. What if they're actually the wrong numbers? What if it's not what your stakeholders want? What if it's coming out of your model isn't actually the important drivers to other people? It might be to you, but to other people. When I got into building dashboards originally, I was building an executive dashboard at a major manufacturing company in Melbourne. And I thought the hard part was getting a massive company on one page. It wasn't. It was, we went and talked to the C-suite, and this is what they wanted. Then we went to their direct reports, and they went, half that's not possible, don't have the data, that's not the right calculation. So the big part of the project was actually the to and fro and getting everybody in agreement. So when we finally whittled the company down to 4 sections, finance, people, supply chain and commercial, 24 metrics, that everybody was on board, that these were the metrics to drive the company. Then we got a new CEO and he said cash is king, so we had to change things. But it just goes to show he didn't want what was already there. So it's important to take on board that you do talk with your stakeholders and senior management and make sure you are visualizing the actual right numbers that benefit the company. Right. So we'll jump into Excel now. So I will put this in here. Right. So here is our basic P&L that we had, and this is versus budget. So we're going to make the variance bars, and what I've done here in column F, this is just E, this is just a copy, right? Because I want it to be the exact same. So I'm going to put the conditional formatting on it, but I still want to see the number. So we're going to highlight that, and we're going to go to home, conditional formatting, and we're going to go to data bars. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to actually edit the actual rule, manage rule. So I will send out instructions to all of this anyway. So I want to show data bars only because I don't want the numbers, and pretty much I can change the color. I can change the color on the negative axis, but I'm okay with that. But what I really want to show you is how these are all linked. This is one of my favorite things when I figured out. So if I'm going to change one number here, and then all those bars change automatically. So it's fully automated to show your bars once it's just linked to the cells. So it's a really good way to simply show your variances. And that's that bit. Context. So our spark lines. So we're going to make these little spark lines here. So I've got 10 points of data and 2 empty ones. So if I highlight these cells, and I'm going to go to insert, and there's 3 types of spark lines, and I'll show you all 3, but we'll just do the line one first. And the data range, so I'm going to select all the data, including the empty cells, say OK, and then we've got our basic line. And you can see at the end, it actually leaves a space for the following 2 months, and if you fill that in, it'll take it up. So then we can go into design, and I can show a high point, I can show a low point, I can show all the negative points, which for the bottom wouldn't really help. First, last, and then we can change all the marker colors. So we can change the high one or the low ones to keep it at red, and the high ones at something else. So whatever you like. One I actually also pretty like is the columns, because it shows you little bars. It doesn't work well with the bar in bars because we thought there would be too many bars, but you also have win-loss. I don't actually like win-loss because it just says yes or no. It doesn't really be a whole lot of context. So back to our line. So it's really good. That's just showing 10 and 12 points of data. But obviously you could do it if you're doing your trends longer than that, perhaps over 3 years, it would be really helpful. And as we saw with the P&L, if you've got 10 products or 10 scenarios, it's actually really good at a glance to see what your trends are. So it's a really, I'm so impressed with being able to fit 10 points of data succinctly in one cell. It's really good. So the next thing is the table lens. So this is a little bit complicated, like one kind of graph. So this series overlap here, and this is what I'm saying about the details. These are detailed specific numbers. I would love to give credit to wherever I found this on the internet one day, but I found part of it and put it together with something else. I was looking at, if anyone ever, bullet charts in Excel. So it kind of stems from bullet charts. And I'm going to set the gap at 220. And then I'm going to go on to the other bar. So I'm going to go to my orange bar. And I'm going to change these ones to 100. 50%. And then think you can follow my own instructions properly. So 33, 220. And I'm back here. And I'll change that to 100. So the difference was they were playing with two axes. And then the last thing, because we're playing with two axes, you can see here that this axis on the top says 100, and this axis at the bottom says 90. So that's not giving a correct representation. So the trick is that you need to make sure your axes are in agreement. So if I click on the axis, and I will make this one 100. Now both the axes are the exact same, so now the bars are the correct size for each. So that's the gist of how you make that. And then to make another one, well, as usual, you just copy and paste. But there's one thing I would like to show you. So in terms of that, we're going to move that here. Turn that right down, just so you can. And the axis is correct because that one's set at 100. So there you see we have the problem. We need to set that axis at a correct amount.
Are you able to provide these templates, Alan?
Yeah, so I'll give you templates and I'll give you detailed instructions on how to do this. I don't expect you to remember any of this because it's quite step by step. So if I made that 4,000 as well, there you go. Now there's one thing when you're making these, because quite often when I do before them, I'll take off the different details because you don't want to repeat it. There's no thing in Excel for the size of this box. So when you've got 4 boxes, how do you get the right size? Again, credit to somebody on the internet. Take out a business card, put your business card along each of them, and make them all the exact same size. It's a little hack, if you want to call it, but that's how you do it because there's no way. I've actually taken out a ruler off my desk and gone, is that the same? But that is the gist of it. So yeah, I will give you the instructions and I will give you this file with the finalized versions in it as well. But before we go to questions, I will just hop back into PowerPoint for 1 minute, just to tell you a little bit about what I do briefly. We don't have time for bad graphs. The moral of the story, someone wants to see some bad graphs. Pie charts can't compare anything. So the thing with graphs is visually they look appealing, not actually effective. So we want effective, not sexy graphs. That's the same information, much easier to compare. Donut charts, I showed it to Claire, she went, oh, who didn't use that? The correct answer to donut charts. 3D charts, no, this information here, exact same as here, don't do it. So yeah, I run a business called Visual Finance. So speaking, this is what I love to do, is speaking. If you're having a conference, internal, external, you can hire me to come speak. Group coaching, so I run training programs over 2 days. So what I do the first day is come in, spend a half day, go through best practice in reporting on financial reports and visualization, then build reports with you so it's all hands-on in your own reports, and then I'll come back in about 3 or 4 weeks, work through issues that you've come up against and complex scenarios, and then we build more reports. And then finally, consulting, I'm available obviously for advice and to do work for you. So now, after that, thank you very much, and I'll hand you back to Danielle for Q&A.
Well, in the meantime, were there any questions? Anything you'd like to ask, Alan?
Yeah, I think there was a chart regarding this conditional formatting with the bar charts on the data. So probably, is it an option readily available in Excel, or is it like any add-ins on that? So
no, sorry, this is all basic Excel. So what my whole stick is, look at financial reports, look at data visualization, make it possible in Excel. So it's that conditional formatting, it's a newer part of conditional form. When I say newer, it's probably like 2010. Do you know what I mean? It's just that we learn Excel from our colleagues, and unless you pick out a book or you go learning yourself, there's a lot of things I don't know in Excel, but I found the things that answer my questions. Yeah.
thanks.
So we'll you forward that stuff onto me, and when you registered for tonight, if you provided an email address, I'm not going to post it on meetup.com, but I'll send an email to you with it separately. So if you don't receive it by, say, the weekend, I'll send a message out and check. Make sure you get it for those who wanted it. If you need the facilities tonight, I forgot to mention, they're just down the kitchen and over to the right. What else do I need to say? And this is our very last meetup session for this year, and our next one is going to be in February. So I'm not sure where that's going to be yet, but I'll certainly let you know. Yeah, that was all I needed to say. So we're going to make the video available on Facebook Live a little later on, and yeah, thank you so much, Alan.
Thank you very much.